Hey, what is up ladies and gentlemen? It is I, the one and only Sonic the Hedgehog here, and I am Knuckles the Echidna here. We are from the likes of the Maxi Toys videos. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back for some more of Let's Play of Super Smash Bros. For the Nintendo 64. So last time we have basically just went through one player game for the 12th run, and we obviously did manage to done a pretty good run with Jigglypuff, of course. Despite with the forms of both failure attempts on break the targets as well as board the platforms, so yeah, that's to be expected by that point. So yeah, today for this episode, for this point, ladies and gentlemen, is going to be the final part of the forms of Super Smash Bros. Before we move on to the next final two Let's Plays, or three I should say, because even then though, before we get this thing started, however, though, we're going to be showing off the versus game mode, where basically you can able to actually figure various settings, mainly with the forms of you can set your own roles, like time matches, stock matches, or even team ones as well. And you can also just manage to turn on the handicap or team attack on and off, and even stage selection screen on and off, and also the actual damage ratio. And also there's the item switch mode, which I think in order to able to unlock this, by the way, you have to play for 100 matches or something, which even then though, that might be seems the case. So, but either way though, because of how the fact that since we played this game loads of times since about 12 years ago, and as a result that we did manage to able to unlock this particular item switch menu already. And because of that though, again, as we said this before, it's going to be unlockable. Because of that though, if you didn't have that particular item switch mode enabled, then you're going to have to play through a series of matches. And the reason why we're going to be getting to the versus mode here, especially noticeable with some of these extras that we'll show that off until later on actually, and that was the fact that there was actually the 9th unlockable stage, which we'll discuss more about it as soon as we're able to do the actual match here. Let's go for Captain Falcon, and let's go for Pikachu, and of course let's go for Link as in CPU number 3. Well, usually we're going to be able to select Kirby as a CPU, but I think these players should be alright. And also we're going to be playing as Luigi, because that was our character play choice in terms of the original game specifically. So, but either way though, and normally when you start the game off, you give yourselves 8 stages to choose from, but there was also, as I said this before earlier, there is the 9th unlockable stage, which appears to be Mushroom Kingdom. So naturally speaking, it's the fact that this game does have 2 Mario stages. So one of them is of course Peach's Castle, and now we have the Mushroom Kingdom. To unlock this particular stage is the fact that we need to clear one player game with all 8 default characters, mainly with Mario, Donkey Kong, Link, Samus, Yoshi, Kirby, Fox, McCloud, and Pikachu. And after that though, you have to play every single stage in versus mode. So it's like a combination of the 2 all in one, and once you're done with that, then you can now able to actually play the Mushroom Kingdom level in the versus matches. So it's kind of a shame that this stage does not play out in terms of, you know, to be more specifically in one player game mode, which is very understandable because of how the fact that this is the first game in the series. So, but either way though, this is what the actual main highlight in terms of Super Smash Bros. Even for the actual series as a result. Much like Mario Kart and much like Mario Party, the multiplayer has always been the fun factor about it. And especially noticeable with some multiplayer options in Mario Golf series, and before Mario Tennis was a thing, that also became popular as well in terms of the Mario Sports franchise. And overall, some of these Nintendo multi-platformer games or multiplayer kind of games has always been a really fun time. Yeah, especially noticeable that you can able to actually play this game up to 4 players. So naturally speaking, you can either just manage to play through a free-for-all battle, which basically 4 players must able to actually duke it out in the actual battlefield. That's all there is to know. And there is also the forms of a team battle, which is kind of like free-for-all, except it's team-based, you know, as we already noticed that ever since in a one-player game. So yeah, you probably get the idea of how this goes. So yeah, and because the reason why we managed able to set these items as in very high frequency is because usually whenever it sets to very high, basically they'll just get even more items shown up in the actual battlefield itself. What makes this stage super unique in terms of the forms of we just got out thanks to that Falcon kick from you know, specifically when he activates the power block. Yeah, there are some cool elements in Mushroom Kingdom itself. It's the fact that, for one thing, you notice with these little warp pipes, as you can see right there from on the right part of the screen, as well as those one on the left too, with those little blocks, you can able to actually use them to actually warp into a different warp pipes. But here's the thing though, we need to be very careful of this piranha plant, by the way, because if you somehow get hit by that piranha plant, you expecting you can able to get hit a lot from that. So, and also if you manage to able to activate that power block, as you can see on that particular two platforms, as you can see there, if someone managed to able to stay on the ground, they're able to actually get launched themselves. So, you know, it's kind of like how it did in the forms of the power block from Mario Kart Wii, whenever they did manage to introduce that. And also, speaking of the power block, is the fact that that item will definitely make a comeback until, you know, Super Smash Bros. For the Nintendo 3DS and the one on the Nintendo Wii U as well. And same applies to, you know, the recently Ultimate. So, yeah, it seems like a pretty cool item to have, but hey. Alright, so it looks like that Captain Falcon is already out already, so at least that's something, I suppose. But again, the fun factor about Super Smash Bros. Is of course multiplayer, because that way you can able to actually fight against with some cool players, and especially noticeable how the fact that it's kind of bad enough that I feel incredibly sorry for players around the world because of how the fact that I felt incredibly sorry for tournaments being cancelled and all that stuff though due to legal issues, which is kind of sucks. But anyway, so let's go in and take down Pikachu. In fact, he keep on using his Thunderbolt technique, but at least we can able to knock him out so much so. Then if someone managed able to survive the longest, or even in this case, if someone gets most KOs were able to become a victory. So in this case, you can also set this on time mode, which is self-explanatory. But there are a few rare occasions where if you manage to get the exact same amount of KOs as each other, sometimes they do manage to able to duke it out with sudden death mode. Which basically what that happened is the fact that if someone managed to get, you know, the exact same amount of those KOs. Like, for example, if we were Luigi, and if someone else managed to also get the exact same amount of KOs as we do, specifically, like, if we get, like, 3 points KOs each, basically, if the time runs out, they're able to actually say sudden death, and then we force to able to get ourselves 300 health, or in this case, 300%, and then basically, whoever knocks one of those opponents is out, then basically they'll become a winner. So, yeah, that seems very obvious for that specific standpoint alone. So, either way though, speaking of such though, is the fact that according to the forms of today, and as you can see, we're going to be able to now play Team Battle, as you can see, in the exact same stage. So, hopefully we can able to deal with the forms of, well, as you can see, we're playing as Mario, alongside with Yoshi as our team, which means it actually represents Super Mario World's team. And we're going to be face off against with the space kind of characters, like, for instance, that's Samus, she's a bounty hunter, basically, and Fox McCloud, that he's a member of the Star Fox crew. So even then, it makes it more accurately as space players. So, that seems interesting, all things considered. And what makes this a bit interesting is that we're going to be able to do a Pokeball battle, which meaning about the fact that we're going to be able to, you know, constantly going to be using the actual Pokeballs all by itself. And by the way, for those of you probably wondering that, yes, we did manage to set those computer players into level 9, just in case for the actual funness is involved, and also how intense it was. So, Yeah, because we normally could have done it on a one-player game, but I think we can't afford to do that because of how the fact that sometimes, compared to the future games in the series, that I found is a little bit superior in my opinion, when it comes to like higher difficulties case, especially in Smash Ultimate. Well, though I'm not a big fan of the actual too much difficulty going on in Super Smash Bros. For the Wii U in my opinion, because of the amount of challenges you have to deal with. It's just a bit too much for my taste. But we'll talk more about that whenever we get into that. But speaking of such though, it's the fact that obviously today's day is of course the 7th of December today, in this case in 2020. And talking of which though actually though, Sonic, is the fact that recently Super Smash Bros. Ultimate has been out for 2 years now, which I will say, it is super impressive, especially notable how the fact that, you know, relatively speaking, that, you know, Super Smash Bros. Ultimate did sell really well. Especially notable as one of the best-selling Super Smash Bros. Games to date, along with Super Smash Bros. Melee from the Nintendo GameCube back then. Yeah, which becomes, you know, the highest selling games on the Nintendo GameCube hardware. So, you know, you get the idea of how this goes. As you can see, we're not doing that great because, as you can tell, that Yoshi is now out, in this case for our team anyway. Gee, I wonder why. Is it because of how the fact that usually I found Samus and Fox to be pretty difficult to deal with from this point? Maybe. Just maybe. And by the way, I will say this at this point in time, I really do love the actual sprites that's been going on in the background, which, obviously they're trying to replicate the forms of, let's just say, in World 4-3, in specifically the original Super Mario Bros., because it actually has mushroom platforms, all things considered. Although, unlike the ones in the original Super Mario Bros. Game, that basically they'll just have like, you know, red mushrooms to able to hop onto as platforms, but then usually in this game it's just green mushrooms to able to stand on, or even in this case trying to platform on. It also kind of reminds me of a similar thing for how it does in one of those Mike mini-games in Mario Party 7 that usually revolves around the team of 1 needs to shout out for certain commands, and the team of 3 needs to dodge a lot of those bullet bills throughout, which that could be pretty noticeable in some scenarios, as you can tell. But I digress. So either way though, that's pretty much how this goes in terms of the forms of, you know, versus mode. Easily the highlight is obviously the multiplayer. Obviously, that was before when Super Smash Bros. Melee came around, and in future games as well. Obviously, they did manage to include some new roles and stuff, most notably with Melee, that it does manage to introduce into ourselves coin battles, which usually does make a comeback in, I would say in Smash Bros. For the Wii U and 3DS, although I may be wrong, because it has been a while since I actually did manage to play Smash Bros. For the 3DS and for the Wii U, because we're into Ultimate recently, which is the more of a definitive way of playing the actual the game right now, because obviously we actually got ourselves much more better modes than some random questionable design choices when it comes to for Wii U and such, because, well, honestly, I'm not a big fan of Smash Tour in Super Smash Bros. For Wii U. I totally get the idea about the fact that it's kind of similar to Mario Party, but it's nothing like Mario Party, at least in my opinion anyway. And also the classic mode is one of the worst of the series ever debuted in the Wii U installment, because it just gets like, you know, just random fighters and everything else is entirely claustrophobic. Yeah, I was thinking of the same thing for this point, Knuckles. I was thinking about that too. And, yeah, that's as far as I can say in terms of versus mode as well, because of how the fact that, well, Mushroom Kingdom here was the only, unlockable stage. Obviously, the only stages that, obviously we cannot play in versus mode is, of course, Metal Cavern stage, as well as the Battlefield stage, and also, don't forget, Final Destination, when you're trying to face off against with Master Hand, which, you know, it's far from the case, because, you know, it's the first game in the series after all, so... I don't know if this game will still exist in any forms of, you know, some, internet downloads or something like that, but I don't know. It's hard to explain about this right now, because even then, though, still, I think that you know, Sakurai, he's still working on his progress of his DLC progression for Super Smash Bros. Ultimate. Speaking of which, though, we were originally going to be able to mention about more details about Super Smash Bros. Ultimate DLC updates or something, but I'm afraid we don't have that much time to able to actually mention about that stuff, though, because, you know, since that 2021 is getting closer and stuff like that, because after all, we still ended up on the 12th and the final month of the whole entire godforsaken year. But then again, though, we'll let Maxi will mention more about it until when 2020 ends. So, anyways, that's that, and we'll show off 2 extra things, such as options. You can able to set your sounds to stereo to mono, screen adjustments, and also backup clear, which means delete your data, so stay away from that option. And of course the language selection, which only happens on the PAL version, as you can tell from the actual footage itself. Whilst compared to the Japanese version, as well as the American version, does not have that option at all. So, and finally we can show off is the data mode, which basically you can able to look up on certain facts on certain fighters, mainly with the forms of Luigi, for example. Like, basically it tells us the description of what the characters all look like, and it's also the games that they're originally from, such as, for instance, Luigi's first appeared in, obviously, in Mario Bros. Back in 1983, and Donkey Kong, as you can see, that he first appeared in Donkey Kong for the arcades in 1981, and The Legend of Zelda for Link, and Metroid for Samus, and so on and so forth. So, and while you're reading the actual description, is the fact that certain characters does certain animations automatically if you manage to research on specific stuff, which I will say, it does look pretty satisfying whenever you manage to able to see them just manage to, like, well, just move and stuff like that. So, but you know what this reminds me of? It reminds me of so much of the trophies room from the likes of the future games, specifically Melee, Brawl, Super Smash Bros. For the 3DS, and for the Wii U. The only exception is being the forms of Ultimate, because it's been replaced by, you know, spirits and all that stuff though, which I honestly don't mind it, but then again, we'll discuss onto that once we get into Smash Ultimate, but either way though, we'll get into more further details on that later, so. And also it tells us briefly the actual special moves they can able to perform when these button props showed up. So, yeah, that's as far as I can usually think about it. So, and also the versus records, that it tells you how many times you play as the characters and how much KOs you're able to actually got. And also how much time you're spending on and how much percentage use of certain characters you're able to actually just use it from. Honestly, we actually use Samus the least, which, even then though, it doesn't make that much sense to me, but usually I found Samus to be an alright character for able to use it from in this game, even though that we use Luigi a lot. And finally, the sound test, which is also the unlockable thing, and to unlock this sound test, you have to simply just complete it. All of the break the target levels, including secret characters, and also completing all of the boards, the platforms, also from all 12 playable characters, excluding the secret characters, like 4 secret characters and all the other jazz. And once you have accomplished that, then you would able to actually access to the sound test, which you can able to listen to some of those soundtrack music, as well as certain sound clips, and even voice clips, don't forget. And I just want to make sure of how many of those things that they have in total. Like, I think they've got about more voice clips in this, and 45 musical soundtracks in this game, because it seems not by much, because compared to the future games, they got a lot of music going on. And as far as sound clips is concerned, I think it's roughly about 100-ish or something, so. But either way though, that's just usually I can usually think about for the sake of sound test. It was there if you want to listen to some cool music. So yeah, there are 45 music, and there's also 194 sound effects, and as far as voice clips, 244 voice clips. That's quite a lot. Yeah, they must have worked really hard on this back in the day. Sure, it might actually get improved later on for Melee and Brawl and onwards, but either way though, yeah, that's pretty much all we can say in terms of Super Smash Bros. For the Nintendo 64. We hope you guys do enjoy it, and we certainly do, because all in all, this is a really good start in terms of Super Smash Bros. And all that stuff, which becomes staple in the series. Sure, it's a little bit bare bones compared to the Forms of the Future installments, but back in the day, this was a really, really great fighting game. Definitely recommend it. Although, unfortunately, you're gonna have to hunt for the cartridge, though, because you can't get on the Wii anymore, because the Wii Shop channel is closed. So, we got the endings off here, and this is me, Sonic the Hedgehog. Knuckles the Killer here, and until then, see you guys until at some point, God knows when. See you then.